Hello, and welcome back to the fireside. I'm Dr. Wiggo, and today I'm going to be telling another one of my Christmas stories. I don't know how much longer I'll be able to do this for reasons that will become obvious as I tell this story. So I started my Christmas stories 2 years ago, and I'll link that one up here, and that was the story of my dad being a Sears store manager and all the fun I had as a kid, and there's some good Christmas stories, if you know me. Then last year I told the story that started with me being in a mall in the night visitors at Christmas in the 60s, and then kind of went through my musical career, which had nothing to do with Christmas, but that's neither here nor there. Today I'm going to tell a story about later in life when I was a little older. Now, to set up this story, I spent every Christmas with my parents until my father died. Well, and then with my mother until she died. Except one. I started working for IBM in 1977, and I started after July 1st, and if you start after July 1st, you only get 5 vacation days, so I didn't have enough vacation to go home to see my folks. Fortunately, my college roommate, Steve Omerly, may he rest in peace, took me out to Darien, Connecticut to his mother, and I spent it with his family and had a lovely Christmas. It wasn't the same, but it was nice. But we're going to fast forward a few years into the 80s when I'm now a consultant on Wall Street, making some pretty good money. And so I go home for Christmas. Now here's where the story takes a little turn. I'm not sure what year this was. And when I tell you the story, you'll say, well, how could no one remember? Well, most of the people in the story are dead. So I didn't have that many people I could consult. It was the mid-80s. I know that. I need a little more story set up. In the late 70s, my brother Charles, may he rest in peace, had moved to Arkansas to study at the University of Arkansas, and while he was there, he convinced my other brother Joe, who's still alive, to apply for a position in the computer science department, which Joe did and got the job and moved to Fayetteville. Back in those days, to avoid paying capital gains on your house, you had to buy a house of equal or greater value. Well, Joe had been doing well with IBM and had a really nice house with a pool in Houston near NASA. And so he went looking for houses in Fayetteville, and the only houses on the market that were enough money so he wouldn't have to pay capital gains were the house that was in between the chancellor of the university and Frank Broyles, the football coach at the time, who later became athletic director, and then the house he bought. There was a thing about the house he bought. It was one of those houses kind of on a hillside. So the front door was the top level, but the garage was 3 stories down around the side. And so if you went through the garage, you had to go up a flight of stairs to get into the main part of the house, but you were still another flight of stairs to get up to the front door level. This will become relevant. Mom and Dad, and me and my sister, had been spending Christmases with Joe and Mary Jane in Houston, and then when they moved to Fayetteville, we moved there because they had kids. Andrea and David, my niece and nephew. You want to spend Christmas with kids if you can, and if they're your family, it's even better. Anyway, back to the house. So the house was, I guess it was built in the 60s, but it had this pit in front of the fireplace. They had a fireplace, but then there was like a pit under, so you could like put pillows in and sit in front of the fire and lean back and have tons of fun, I guess. Well, that was the room that we did Christmas in. So the Christmas tree was in that room and the presents were in that room and so. Well, this particular Christmas, my mother, who I just realized was my age now when this happened, slipped and fell into the pit and badly sprained her ankle. I mean, she was in amazing amounts of pain. She couldn't put any weight on it. It wasn't broken, but it was bad. Remember, I explained the house. So to get her back to the hotel after she did this, I had to carry her down the stairs into the garage and out to the car. And then when we got to the hotel, I had to carry her to her hotel room. And then I had to carry her everywhere. And I didn't mention the top level where you go in the front door, which you think would be better. Well, there's a bridge, and I will show you what that bridge looks like in the snow. Not from the same year. We don't have any pictures from this year. Remember, this was the 80s. Everybody didn't have a camera on them at every minute of every day. Yeah, we did take pictures, but it was like a big production. You know, I might throw up a couple of Christmas pictures from around that era. Oh, you're saying, well, wait, this seems like a significant event. Why didn't you know? Why can't you remember when it was? Well, it was my mother and my father, who are both dead. My sister Penny, who doesn't remember which year it was. Joe and Mary Jane don't remember what year it was. Andrea and David, the kids, they don't remember what year it was. Andrea remembers she was in high school, so that's how we've dated it to the mid-'80s. So I'm not sure when this all happened. Once we get Mom to the right floor in Joe and Mary Jane's house, we got like a rolling desk chair so we could roll her around. But, you know, the kitchen was upstairs, the garage was it was a mess. And at night, my dad went to the hotel manager and borrowed like a dozen chairs. And remember, this was Christmas. But lined up chairs all the way around from the bathroom around to the bed so my mother could swing out of bed and then plop across the chairs, move her seat so she could go to the bathroom in the middle of the night because Dad couldn't pick her up and carry her because he was as old as I am now. I couldn't carry her now either. Oh, it was a mess. Later Christmases were better, although there was one worse than that. Some years later, I think it was probably into the 90s. For Christmas, Penny and I would go to Heber Springs, where my folks lived, and then we would drive over to Fayetteville and spend Christmas and then drive back. Well, one Christmas, there was an ice storm moving in, and it came in Christmas morning, and it was going to be a bad one. So we loaded up in the car. We left Christmas morning before the presents and before everything. We didn't even go by Joe and Mary Jane's house because it was up a hill and there was already ice forming. So we just went straight to the freeway, which you could drive on in the ice back then. You know, they'd salt and sand and whatever. And we made it back to Heber Springs right in front of that ice storm. And then Penny and I were iced in for several days. We couldn't get out. Now, later Christmases got better because Andrea got married and had children. And her kids, I mean, when you have little kids at Christmas, it's just the best. And her son, Brandon, my great nephew, when he was a little kid, like 5, 6 years old, he loved presents. He didn't care what they were, as long as they were presents. And to this day, a Christmas morning story that we always tell is when Brandon was opening his presents and opened up a thing and it was socks. What would every other little kid do? Start crying. Not Brandon. Oh my God, socks! He was just excited to have presents. He was a great kid. Still a great kid. Of course, he's not a kid anymore. He's like 30-something. Yeah, I'm old. But see, the reason I can't tell these stories much anymore is because nobody remembers. It was so long ago. A lot of the people involved in the stories are dead. And the rest of us don't remember because it was like 40 years ago. I don't remember what I had for breakfast today. Did I even have breakfast? See what I mean? I'll keep trying to come up with Christmas stories every year. I know this wasn't the best, but it was the best I could do. I don't remember. Which has nothing to do with the fact that I went to high school in the 60s, college in the 70s, worked on Wall Street in the 80s. So drugs would have nothing to do with any of this, me not having a memory. That's a Christmas memory. We'll get back into the tech stuff and cameras, and I think a lens video is next, and then there's plenty of stuff yet to come. So come on back, but whatever you believe in, celebrate it this holiday season. You can celebrate Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever it is. Celebrate, be nice to people, enjoy the holidays. Thanks for stopping by. See you next time. Bye-bye. Now I get back to making all my stupid little videos, as my family calls them, about tech stuff. Thanks for staying to the end. Bye-bye.